It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and Boy Max shares a thing actually that I found on Reddit. A great little quick tip. When you draw a circle on a screenshot using the markup feature on your devices, if you hold your finger down once you finish your version of a circle, your phone will correct it so that it's a either perfect circle or a nice tight oval or something that actually looks professional as opposed to something we just sort of scribbled out with our finger. I had forgotten about this one, so thank you, Boymax, for reminding us. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1094 for Monday, June 16th. Take your cat to work day 2025. Woohoo! Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in your quick tips like that, your cool stuff found, your questions. We share all of it. We provide context where we can. We answer the questions where able. We talk through the troubleshooting process. Really, the goal is for each and every one of us to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for this episode are BBEdit from Barebones at barebones.com. Surfshark at surfshark.com/MGG, or use code MGG at checkout. That gets you 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Yoink from Eternal Storms, that little temporary shelf app that I love. And Fireflies.ai/MGG. You get 2 months free of this cool AI that joins your meetings and summarizes things and creates action items. All very cool stuff. We'll talk about each of them in a little bit in more depth. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
And here also in New Hampshire, Pilot Pete. May I be the first to say on this show, happy birthday, Dave.
Thanks. Yeah. The day we are recording this is the 13th of June and of 2025, as I mentioned. The 13th of June, 2005 is the day that we released episode number 1 of what was to become Mac Geek Gab. The first episode was called TMO to Go. And then my wife said something like, you need a better name than that. Why not just call it the Geek Gab? So here we are. Yep.
There you go. And it's a high energy show, folks. Let me tell you, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it.
Oh, episode 1?
Yeah.
I think it starts. I should have teed it up. Do I have it? I have teed it up in the past, but I don't think I have it here to play. It's not like in my little Farrago, which is like a cart app. No. But it starts out with something like, "Welcome to TMO to Go from the Mac Observer." Yeah, it was
like National Public Radio, only quieter.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even want to know what the first episode of the Maccast sounded like.
Right. Yeah. So, yes, Adam, so I get to join you in the club of people who have been podcasting for more than 20 years now. So,
yeah. 20-year club.
The 20-year club. Yeah. I no longer have to, for the last year, what I've been saying is I'm in my 20th year of podcasting. Right. Now I get to say that I've been podcasting for more than 20 years. It just changes.
We got to get a pin or something like that.
We do need pins. Yes. I don't disagree. Yeah. We did have some T-shirts made up. We had a little gathering here at the house. My wife and daughter get full credit for conceiving of and organizing this party, and we even had 4 MG. We had like my family here and 4 listeners. We had Andy, Will, Doug, and Chris came. Yeah. So we had a little thing out on the patio. The weather was nice, and it was good.
It was fun. We missed you, Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't see the message.
I gave you the wrong date, Adam.
You did?
Well, I gave everybody the wrong date a couple of weeks ago at the end of the show when I said it was in July. No, July will be in the thing.
Hey.
Yeah.
That opening tip.
Yeah.
I believe that trick works for other basic shapes, if I'm remembering correctly, too. So if you do a square and then hold, or a triangle and hold, I think it will also.
Oh, I think you're right.
Like try to fix it for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Huh. I need to try. I did not know that it would do more than just shapes that had curves in them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As long as you get reasonably close. I don't know. Again, I know square, triangle, circle. I think that's about it. I don't think it's going to do like an octagon for you or anything like that. Maybe.
Yeah. Possibly. Yeah. Interesting.
So, hey, one other thing. Police Code 1094 is street racing. I think we should street race into some quick tips.
I love it. Oh, I thought that's what we were going to do after we finished recording the show, Pete. We could just street race through my neighborhood. That would be great. Really wise.
They love that over there. They take that so well. They think it's funny.
I'm also going to share that that this morning turns out to also be a time when some very important concert tickets, some Fish tickets for September go on sale. And that happens in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So there might be a moment where I am multitasking here while my wife and I independently.
Adam and I are going to have to carry the show again.
Listen, after 20 years, I'm done. That's it. That's it. I do want to say something that's coming up here. We talked a little bit about it in the pre-show, but I do want to say something here that the ad load for this show, for a lot of shows, has been pretty soft over the last 18 months. This summer is looking different. We're back up to, episodes that actually are sold out. Now, what does sold out mean for this show? Usually a maximum of 4 sponsors. There will be, if the schedule holds, due to some scheduling, I don't want to call them snafus. It was 2 sales literally coming in at the same time for the same episode and us deciding, let's try it. So I think there's an episode in August that will have 5. And we do our best to balance this. I know that ad load is much less than many other shows out there, but that doesn't mean I want to get up to a point where we are at the level of many other shows out there. We respect your time and we appreciate it. And as I always say, our job is to encourage you to visit the sponsors page or link or whatever it is to learn more, and whether you take it farther from there is between you and them. So that is our job. We try to keep the ads efficient and using up as only as much of your time is appropriate. So, but we welcome your feedback, positive and negative about this. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Would they send that feedback to feedback@macgeekgab.com, Dave?
That's where I'd send it.
That's where I'd send it, feedback@macgeekgab.com.
Yeah, you heard him. Feedback@macgeekgab.com.
All right. Now, street racing into even more quick tips. Bill sends in the next one and says, Apple Mail users can quickly reduce photo file sizes for saving in folders by selecting the image size option on the right side of the from email address. So in the header, there's a thing across the right. This retains the original file name. To do this, open a new email message, drag photos to the body, and select medium, for example, on the image size. Drag photos now from that email to a folder by holding down on the mouse button. So click drag. Drag multiple photos individually. And then once, or you can control shift command select. That sometimes works, but not always. File size options are limited to small, medium, and large. This is a quick and dirty way to reduce file sizes and retain file names, which is interesting. I appreciate the tip. That is certainly one way to do it, and it's an obvious way because you get to see it happening, and you're using Apple software to make it all happen. But I have a feeling that we each have other ways of doing this. And Adam, I kind of saw you nodding your head. How would you go about reducing the size of an image?
Multiple ways. Yeah.
I
might use preview, but that's a much more manual, procedure.
Sure.
I believe photos you can just export and pick sizes. Like I would select a bunch of photos, but I don't know if that retains. I think part of this tip is the retaining of the file naming.
Yes.
So that one I'm not sure of. The other tool that I use, and that's just more for compressing. I guess it does resizing now too. There's a utility called Squash. Software called Squash. It's part of SetApp, and it has all kinds of options for batch resizing, renaming. I think you can control how you rename it. You can retain the original name or add things. It's got a bunch of options for, a bunch of different things. It originally started out just as a like an image optim kind of compressor thing, but it's gone far beyond that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned image optim, because that is another one of these that will keep the dimensions of the image the same, but it will strip out unnecessary metadata, including like thumbnails, to make it. Image optim is built for images you're going to put on the web, so it's stripping out all the things that you wouldn't necessarily need on the web. Does keep the file name the same, and you can have it recompress the image, keeping it the same dimensions, but often the file size using image optim drops precipitously without the visual quality being negatively impacted. So.
Yeah, and Squash does all that stuff, and you can Squash has a nice sidebar where you can turn on and off all the different like settings, so you can have it remove metadata or not remove metadata. You can have it compress or not compress. You can have it rename or not rename, and you just set all the settings and then drop a bunch in there, and then hit the button go, and it bloop. I think there's another one called Pen Mutate. I can't ever remember the name of the other one. It's like the little robot icon.
Permute?
Permute, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Permute each week. I have to take the FLAC audio file, which is an uncompressed audio file. And for one of the services that we use, it doesn't take FLAC. It only takes other things. So I use Permute to convert that to M4, to like AAC or something for audio files. But I forgot that Permute would do images too. And Permute,
I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does images.
I think you're right.
Set dimensions and stuff.
I've used it to convert videos as well. And Permute is absolutely part of SetApp, I believe.
It is.
I say that absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
No, it is.
Yeah. So yeah. Interesting.
And then just years ago, I did Automator. I created one that would resize images, and I made it into a not a workflow. But basically an app. You can save it as an app, and then I drag that app icon to my Finder toolbar. I select all the photos I want. It grabs them, it resizes them, and throws them in a subdirectory for me to grab and throw on my email.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can use shortcuts too.
Shortcuts would be easier now.
Yeah. Especially now, if you want, like with the Mac OS 2026 or Mac OS 26, whatever we're going to call it,
Tejo.
Right, yeah, Tejo. That's right. Thanks. But you could set a folder as being take an image in this folder and shrink it down to whatever, and so that. But we don't get that unless you're running the beta or until they release it this fall. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Lots of ways to resize images.
Yes.
Should we go to a tip from Joe here?
Yeah, I'm about 47 people away from being able to buy tickets, but I think my wife is ahead of me in line, so this might all work out.
All right, I'll go slow.
It's totally fine.
Joe says, "Hey team, a friend invited me to read an article on a website, but it was behind a paywall. He suggested using Safari's hide distracting items feature, and it worked. Not sure if it works everywhere or if the website was poorly designed, but it seems to have various uses. For example, Macworld's website is horrible for invading or invasive inline videos, advertisements, and sidebar items that annoy you. I turned on the feature, hovered over the irrelevant areas, and clicked on the blue outline. Poof, gone. You can do as many areas as you want. Click done in the URL area and continue reading. It's amazing. Never noticed this icon in the left corner of the URL box. Click it for options. First one is hide distracting items, which is wonderful. I don't know how long it's been there, but it's a game changer for annoying advertising websites, especially those that constantly change content and bump the text you're reading up and down on the screen."
Nice. Dang. I got to try that. I'll be
Yeah.
back.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll be back. Pete, no.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool feature. The other thing I think we've mentioned previously, but I'll bring it up again because it's kind of related with the paywall features, is some paywall sites you can get to the content by using the reader view that's built in. Again, generally, if they're poorly designed or not, if it hasn't paywalled strongly enough. But,
Yeah. It all depends. It depends on how the site is coded up for sure.
yeah.
Sorry, half distracted because
No.
my wife and I both have the tickets we want in our cart, so I'm just waiting for her to finalize so I can not worry about this anymore. So.
Yeah, keeping this going, like the distracting items feature is really nice. Again, especially for, again, you want to support the sites that you enjoy. So if you enjoy Macworld, obviously that's how they make their money. But I'm with you too. Some sites don't understand that sort of balance, and especially when you're throwing up, ads over top of things, and you got one at the top and one at the bottom, and then it throws a video in the middle, and now you can't even see any of the content.
I think your key phrase there was, Adam, you want to enjoy the site.
Right.
Yes. It's
the site you're there to see. Advertising's fair, but
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're having this conversation after we talked about ad load in the podcast, but it's related. Like when we ran Mac Observer, obviously we could have put way more ad units on the page, but we always we wanted to read the articles that we posted, and so we were readers of the site first and made sure that there was a balance there that you could, but the most important thing was the content. And so we chose to make a lot less money at times because we didn't want to just, turn it into Times Square, as we used to call it internally. When sites did that.
I think the term that Gruber often used was D-bars.
D-bar. Well, we never added one of those to the site, but yes. Yeah. But it was tempting. I mean, from a strictly financial standpoint, it was like, wow, we could add 40% to our revenue if we did that. Like that's real money, but it was like, at what cost? Like,
right.
We care about our audience. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I know it's atypical, but whatever, Great. Wife Lisa has the tickets, so everything's good. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to need to take some days off in September, guys. I'll just tell you now.
There you go. Awesome. All right. Well, I want to take a quick moment to give you a quick tip on something that popped up on me and drove me nuts for a long time until I finally went, all right, I got to figure this out. At some point, the nightstand mode on my iPhone moved me from local time to Zulu time, Universal Time Coordinated, UTC. I'm like, how do I get rid of this? Well, you have to go into the standby mode, the nightstand mode, and press and hold your clock widget and delete the clock widget. Then go back and hit the little plus sign in the upper left-hand corner and re-add it to local time and add that widget. So for some reason, at one of the iOS updates, it defaulted to UTC. So delete the UTC one, go back to local time, and you will have local time on your nightstand mode. Because I don't care what time it is, UTC in the middle of the night. I'm not ready to do, as I often say when I screw it up, my Zulu converter is broken. In the middle of the night, my Zulu converter is off.
It's offline.
Yes. So I don't need to be doing math in my head at 3 a.m.
No.
Or that's 7 a.m. UTC.
Yes. That's almost as bad as doing public math while recording a podcast. So,
right. Exactly. So if you find yourself with a UTC in your nightstand mode, you got to go in and delete that widget and re-add it as a local time.
I'm curious about how this might have happened. And gosh, as soon as I say that, I realize the rabbit hole that I am opening up because I know to whose phone this happened. But at the risk of going too deep on this, you have always told me that even when traveling the world, you keep your devices fixed at Eastern time.
My laptop.
Your laptop. Okay.
Yes.
So is there a world where you would have set your phone to UTC for some reason, and then that sort of cascaded into the nightstand mode, but for some reason didn't come out of it?
Highly doubt it.
Okay,
I highly doubt it. And in the Apple discussion forums, there are people shaking their fists wildly at Apple over this, going, "Why did you do this?" So fix it. Leave it alone.
Okay,
so it wasn't only. I'm not the only one. That's why I brought it up as a quick tip. I'm not the only one who found myself looking at UTC on my nightstand, going, "What?"
This and when you came out of nightstand mode, your phone was still in Eastern time. Local time. Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't like the whole phone had shifted. Somehow there was
just that widget.
nightstand widget that had gotten fixed to Zulu.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Great. Nice find, because your solution would not have been my first instinct.
No, I found it on Apple forums. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah.
In defense of the developers, time is hard.
It is.
In programming.
Oh,
it is.
Why is it so difficult?
Because so many variables. I mean, you got daylight savings time to deal with. You've got, all these things, and you're having to do all these conversions. And then you have the places like, Arizona, where they don't do DST, states that don't do DST. It's it's easy to screw things up. Yeah.
Then there's the language barrier. If you go from New York to Chicago, do you gain an hour or lose an hour? Asking for a friend.
So,
but interesting.
Yeah, they've had, think how many times Apple's had problems with this. I mean, the DST bug came up in a few releases from what I remember, where people didn't get alarms, like the next day their alarm didn't go off at the right time because it was screwed up. So, and people were late to work, and those things have material impact,
Yeah.
It's not intentional. It's annoying, but
anytime I'm coding and needing to use time, it's like, oh, what a pain in the neck. Yep. All right. You want to bring us to Shannon, Adam?
Yeah, this is a little follow-up, I think, to something a question we had on Mac Geek Gab 1092. Yep. I believe we were talking about the APFS snapshots. Somebody, I think, had one that they couldn't figure out how to delete. It was taking up some space. And so Shannon wrote in and said, OnyX to the rescue. OnyX was able to delete the snapshot created by the ASR utility. I have no idea when and how the snapshot was made, unless it was made when I first set up the Mac. I have never had to restore this Mac. Also, based on a recent episode, I checked my podcast apps and discovered that it was saving all kinds of episodes that I was not expecting. So now I've reclaimed roughly 600 gigabytes of space. Wow, that's good. Both I and my Mac are breathing much easier now. Thank you and your MGG compadres. I am always learning something new from the shows. Shannon.
Love that. Yeah. That's OnyX. Yep. There's just a tab right there in OnyX to show you all the things, all the snapshots. Huh.
That works.
Yeah, that's great. Fun.
And Dan answered my question.
What's your
question?
question?
Going to Chicago, as for Mac stock, is all gains. Nicely said, Dan.
We will be speaking. We will be doing a Mac Geek Gab live at Macstock. Speaking of Macstock, on the evening of Saturday, July 12th. The time of it seems to be nebulous, and that's fine. I would have thought we would be doing it at like 7:30 or 8 p.m. It's in the Macstock schedule at 8:30. All of that doesn't really matter once we're all there and we figure out what time it makes sense to start Mac Geek Gab once we get out of the room and back into the room after dinner and all that stuff. So, but it will be that Saturday evening at some point before we all go to sleep. And you can save $50 on your Macstock registration at Mac Geek Gab 50. So it's Saturday, July 12th. And
Mike,
go ahead.
Sorry, it might get more entertaining the later it starts.
You might not be wrong. You might not be wrong. That is true. Yep. Of course, the later it starts, there's a curve where the entertainment increases and the releasability decreases, you see. And the goal would be to be able to release the episode so that we don't have to record another one. So, yeah.
It'll just be the first time you have to use that tag.
Oh, the explicit tag. Yeah. we did 20 years of the show without ever having to use the explicit tag. So maybe I don't know.
I can change that.
Yeah. No, we have no interest in changing that. There would be no benefit, and I know it would exclude many segments of our audience for a variety of reasons. So it would be no gain and a loss for all of us, I think. So, yeah. All right. One last note came from Jen, one of our friends over at MacPaw, saying that Space Lens is back in CleanMyMac version 5.1.0. So Space Lens is the feature that we used to have in CleanMyMac, and then it went away in CleanMyMac 5, and now it's back, that lets you see where all the storage is being used on your Mac, and it gives you a visual way of seeing it all, and it sorts folders by the size most used at the top, so you can dig and delete things and manage all your space. So if deleting your snapshots with OnyX isn't enough, then you can dig in and find out where all of your storage is being consumed. So I'm stoked that came back. That was one of my favorite. It was one of my most frequently used features of CleanMyMac. So yeah. All right, we have a follow-up on focus modes. We asked and you answered, and we have lots of custom focus mode ideas from you all to share. So we will do that in a moment. Next, though, I want to talk about our first couple of sponsors. Because if you're like me, some weeks you're just swimming in meetings, barely staying afloat, and somehow also expected to remember everything that was said, right? That's why I've been loving using our sponsor, Fireflies AI. It's like having an AI teammate that never forgets. Fireflies transcribes, summarizes, and analyzes all your conversations so that you can actually focus on the meeting, not on like frantically typing notes like it's 1996. Need to follow up after a Zoom? No problem. Fireflies has your action items, timestamps, and even shareable sound bites. And if someone asks a question mid-call and you're about to tab surf for an answer, just say, "Hey, Fireflies." Yep, real-time web search inside your meeting. It's spooky smart. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts reminding me to feed the cats. I gotta go feed the cats. And I gotta feed Stanley too. Okay, wait. With integrations for over 60 apps, Slack, Asana, Google Meet, your CRM, Fireflies fits right into your existing workflow. Whether you're in sales, recruiting, engineering, or producing podcasts like this one, Fireflies has your back. And right now, when you sign up for a yearly Fireflies subscription, you get your first 2 months free. Just go to fireflies.ai/MGG. That's right. 2 months free when you go to fireflies.ai/MGG. That's fireflies.ai/MGG. Fireflies. It's how meetings get done. And remember, don't get caught without it. And our thanks to Fireflies for sponsoring this episode. And look, let's face it, public Wi-Fi is a hacker's playground, right? You wouldn't leave your front door wide open, so why leave your data unprotected? That's why our sponsor, Surfshark VPN, is such a compelling tool for us tech folks. It encrypts everything between our devices and the internet, keeping us safe from snoops, whether we're at like coffee shops or the airport or even your favorite Thai restaurant. One account, unlimited devices. That means your phone, your laptop, your tablet, even your smart fridge, if you're living like it's 3025, right? They all get protected. And Surfshark's Clean Web feature blocks ads, trackers, and malware, which I love. It's like giving your browser a personal bodyguard with a lightsaber. And if you've ever hit a region block trying to watch something or book a cheaper flight, Surfshark's got your back there too. It's time to take control of your online security. Try Surfshark risk-free today and enjoy their 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to surfshark.com/MGG for 4 extra months of Surfshark. That's code MGG at surfshark.com. The URL and code can also be found in our show notes, so you can click there or just visit from here. Whatever works for you. Make sure to check it out. And our thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this episode. All right, focus modes. Pete, you want to kick us off?
I can do that. We got a nice note from Randy, who has a cool focus mode. He says, my most used focus mode, church, is triggered by our church location. I can still see notifications on my lock screen, but they don't buzz my watch or phone. I can allow notifications if needed, like when we were on call to watch grandchildren for a pregnant daughter. But the downside is that my friends may text me to see if I can usher, and I don't get the notification if I'm already at church. I find church focus is a great option to manually set in similar situations.
Huh.
So, yeah.
Cool.
But there's more.
There is
more.
more.
There's more.
But wait, there's less. You want to take us to Derek, Adam? Uh-oh. Did we lose Adam? We might have lost Adam. All right.
Welcome back, Adam. You going to take us to Derek, and I'll get the next one?
I'm not sure where Derek. Adam says he needs to reboot, so we will keep on trucking here. No worries, Adam.
Sounds like a plan.
I will take us to Derek. Derek says, I recently created a focus mode called No Politics that silences alerts from unknown numbers in messages. This is especially helpful while working because I can now tell if a notification on my Apple Watch is from someone in my contacts or just a random solicitation. I'd love for Apple to add an option to iOS for messages similar to the phone where you can silence unknown callers. I'd also like to see silence unknown messages as an option. Adam is unable to, he said he lost his audio interface, which is why Adam's unable to speak. But he did leave a note for us here to share. So Adam says you can silence notifications from unknown senders in settings, notifications, customize notifications at bottom, turn off unknown senders under allow notifications. So maybe that will do it. But certainly the features that we saw coming in iOS 26 would allow even more control over this, the filtering and recategorization of things. So yeah, very good, Derek.
Somehow someone enabled silence Adam, but
somebody enabled silence Adam. Yes, that's right.
Let's fix that. So,
yeah.
Anyway, well,
exactly.
I can take us to Brian and his tip if you like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So Brian 1092 writes in, triggering work focus mode by time and location. In response to your inquiry on listeners sharing focus modes, I'd like to share an interesting way I implement my work focus. I limit the people and apps that come through, select solid colored home and lock screens, and enable 2 ways to trigger the focus. The first method is by time. It goes into focus from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. weekdays. It also is set geographically, so it triggers while at that location. Both conditions ensure I'm in focus when I'm in the office longer than usual, and I've attached screenshots. So I guess we could put those in Discord and or show notes.
No, we won't share people's screenshots without their permission.
It only has his bank routing number and account number, Dave. What's the problem?
But you are welcome to share your own screenshots in Discord for sure. Obviously, we do that all the time. But yeah, it's interesting and a good reminder that you can set a schedule and a location and right, like, so all of these things kind of can work together. But yeah, I like that one. That's pretty good. I like it. I will take us to Harvey next, and Harvey shares that. Oh, now I lost it. I had it. Harvey says, I use sleep mode to avoid unwanted calls and school alerts at inconvenient times. After 7:30, I can be reached. I also set up a focus mode called meeting mode, triggered by the side button on my iPhone 15 Pro. It blocks calls and notifications during meetings, doctor's appointments, or eating out wherever I want. Family and certain friends are in the list of allowed to get through if needed. And finally, He says, I use a focus mode inspired by my cable company. They convinced me to switch from cable to fiber optic streaming, but their faster service is problematic because during live events like a baseball game or a hockey game, their stream is 30 seconds to a minute behind real time. And the inconvenience happens because I usually watch the games on my iPad or iPhone, and also on those devices, I receive notifications from sports apps. So I've created a live TV focus that turns off notifications from sports apps during live events so that I'm not notified of a score happening before I get to see it live, so to speak. He says, I turn it off when the game ends. I like that. That's, for a lot of these, I'm wondering, is there a way to automate it? Like, could you, and this is where I want like more granularity with shortcuts, because it would be great to say like, okay, if there is a game happening for this team and I'm in the, whichever app he's using to watch, the Fubo app or something, whatever app you're using, YouTube TV, then enable this focus mode. And I can't think of a way of making shortcuts do that on the iPhone. So,
yeah.
But
not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But maybe someday. Yeah. I guess Steve is next here, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Steve says, I have a personal mode that blocks work-related notifications. This is my favorite. I use it when I power on my phone on the weekends. I use a no-nonsense mode for mowing the lawn and housework. It only allows phone calls, texts, and smart lock alerts. That's interesting. I recently set up a mode for only phone calls from my wife and children. When I'm traveling, I want them to be able to call me at night, but I don't want distractions. This works perfectly. It was a bit tricky to set up, but thanks to Google, I found my way. For each mode, I have a different color home screen, so I know which mode I'm in. Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Yep. This has also helped me when I connect to my VPN. I used to forget to turn off my VPN. Now, when I see the bright yellow screen, I know I'm still connected. I turn my VPN on and off via a shortcut that also manages the wallpaper changes. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Huh.
I actually do that. So when I go into podcasting mode, so when we're doing the show, only you and Adam can get a hold of me. And I have a big microphone as my home screen picture. So when I look at it later, I go, oh, yeah, I'm still in podcasting mode. It's
super smart.
I need that visual cue.
Oh, same. So, having visual cues for each of my focus modes by using the lock screen is hugely valuable. Without that, I would be stuck in podcasting mode, especially because that's other than sleep mode. Podcasting mode is certainly the most restrictive mode that I would go into during a work day. And if I forget to come out of it, I have that's a problem, because people will be texting me, family, other people at work or whatever. And it takes a little while for me to realize, oh, hey, dum-dum, you got to get out of this focus mode.
Right.
But thankfully I have many visual indicators. If you have ever watched the live stream, the purple lights that light up behind me are also enabled when that focus mode comes on and disabled when that focus mode comes off. And that I've used Keyboard Maestro, I think, to do that. No.
Okay.
No. This would be a shortcuts automation on my phone. Yeah, it's a shortcuts automation on my phone that's triggered by the focus mode.
Okay.
And that way, if I'm leaving the studio and I still see this corner here glowing purple, it's like, wait, you still haven't turned it off, even though it's on my post-flight checklist to turn off the focus mode. But yeah,
that's why it's a checklist.
That's why it's a checklist. Yes, that's right. Yes. All right, we have two more. Yep.
Yeah. So, wait, there's more, and it really, really catches fish. Henry writes in, focus modes for night vision, inspiration, sleep, and more. Gents, you asked about focus mode usage. I use it mainly for two things: enabling Do Not Disturb and changing my iPhone's lock screen and background images. During the day, I display pictures of my family, dog, and nature to reduce eye strain from bright screens at night. My daughter impresses me with her extensive use of focus modes. She has one for school that hides distracting apps when she's at school, and games, things like that don't come up. another for sleep, and one for soccer that displays motivational content and relevant apps. She rarely lets me see her phone setup, so I don't know about the rest. Good for you, Henry's daughter. Don't get caught.
That's right. We had a deal with our kids. I haven't tried to use this deal in recent years, mainly because they're both well over the age of 18. But we had a deal with our kids that, look, your device is yours, but at any point in time, if we ask to see it, you have to show it to us. And it was rare that we used that, but it set the right for our house
right tone,
anyway.
sure,
it set the right tone. Yeah. So I share that. There are many correct ways of parenting. There are many incorrect ways of parenting. Most of us do a mix of both, it turns out. And so I share, and you just factor that in. Just
There you go. Same here. Yeah. Once our kids turned 18, I went, that's it. I'm not, I'm no longer going to demand to see your stuff. We've given you the best guidance we can.
Yes.
You're on your own. We'll support and help you when and where we can. But
if you still want guidance, ask for it. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so. I offer it anyway, but I get turned down.
Yeah, of course.
Dad, be quiet. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Right. Yeah.
Especially when we're flying the airplane together. Like this very morning, Becca and I went flying, and I'm giving her information. Hush. Okay.
Hush.
Fair enough.
Adam, did you make it back with audio?
So far, but things aren't looking good.
Oh no.
Although it seems to have now calmed down, but yeah, so I started noticing everything running really, really slowly, and then saw beach balls, and then I went to launch Activity Monitor, and that's what killed everything.
Of all the things.
When Activity Monitor finally opened, my kernel task was pegged at 400%. So CPU usage for whatever reason.
Fun. All right. You know that Mac OS 26 is the last one that's going to run on any Intel Macs, and so maybe Apple's trying to tell you something, Adam.
Well, I think this is the forced upgrade. Yeah, they've done something now to hobble my machine to make sure that I upgrade.
I will say Notes is not the most efficient app, specifically when it comes to syncing. I was sitting yesterday out on our patio organizing the show notes and really organizing the agenda. And because of some of the things I was doing, I was making very minor edits to the notes. We highlight some parts of it or whatever. Each edit, we have each of your questions or tips or whatever in as a note. And it's a synced folder, obviously synced for all of my iCloud, but it's a shared folder too, so it's synced amongst everybody's. Any edit I made to any note would peg one of the CPUs or threads, I should say, on my M2 MacBook Air for 20 seconds. And notes would beach ball. And then once I got the note set, we have two folders that we share. One is a prep folder and one is the live show folder. And once I got it all set, I would move it to the live show. And that then took another 20 seconds of notes being completely unresponsive. During the show, we are reading from your notes and then also filing them once we read it. So it's no longer in the live show folder. And I wonder if that might, because I've had it even on my Mac Studio here, which is very much not an Intel Mac, where notes goes, beach ball in the middle of the show and we have to like vamp a little bit or something before I can get to the next one. Did you lose things, Adam? Oh, no. Adam's audio died again.
Oh, man. That hurts.
Huh.
I can see your lips moving, Adam. Hold on. Speak very slowly and clearly.
What a fascinating thing.
Man. And I've noticed the same thing with notes, Dave. It drives me nuts when it'll just beach ball. It's horrible.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Fish shake, Apple. Fix
Fish
notes.
shake.
It shouldn't be that hard to move some text around.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Yes. This should be doable for all of us. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I will take us to our final focus mode sharing here, and we'll see if Adam can sort his audio enough to get us back to the show. Darrin says, I have 4 focus modes: morning, daytime, evening, and sleep, all automated by time of the day. Each has a unique lock screen, home screen wallpaper, and each has its own single home screen. With different apps. Okay. For example, morning's home screen is a large widget stack with the podcast app, the stocks, and news, things I look at in the morning. Daytime has different content as the others. I find this setup works great for me. I love that. I don't know that I would be able to spend the time to customize it the way I would want it, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. We've lost Adam again. Hopefully Adam gets to come back, because we miss you when you're not here, Adam.
Well, plus he's got questions he's answered. Yes,
that's true. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about adjusting the agenda on the fly. We're gonna if Adam can't make it back for the rest of the show, we're gonna have to fly by the seat of our pants, which is not entirely different from how we normally do things. Well, but while Adam sorts that out and we figure out which of your questions we're going to answer, I want to take a minute and talk about our next couple of sponsors. Because, look, you ever tried dragging a file from the Finder into an email while wrangling windows like you're in a digital rodeo? Yeah, don't get caught doing that. Get our sponsor, Yoink, instead. Yoink is this brilliantly simple utility for Mac, iPhone, and iPad that gives you a temporary shelf to hold files, text, images, whatever you're juggling, while you move it exactly where it needs to go. I use Yoink every day. It's perfect for when I grab a PDF and want to drop it precisely into an email without fumbling through windows like I'm auditioning for a one-man Cirque du Soleil, right? And it's more than a shelf. Yoink's got a clipboard history widget, and that's also a game changer. We talk about that on the show here all the time, right? That password you copied 3 clips ago, that code snippet, that quote you thought you lost, still there, still yoinked. Yoink even syncs across devices via iCloud. Drag a file on your phone, pick it up on your Mac. It just works. It's a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, and it's been featured by Apple, and I use it. Go grab Yoink from the Mac or iOS App Store and tidy up your digital life. Your files will thank you. And hey, don't get caught without it. And our thanks to Yoink and the folks at Eternal Storms for sponsoring this episode. And look, you know we love BBEdit around here, but BBEdit 15.5, it's next level. I mean, this thing isn't just a text editor. It's a text wrangler, a regex tamer, and now an AI whisperer. Yep. BBEdit 15.5 integrates with Apple's new writing tools for summarizing, proofreading, and composing inside your documents. It's like having a brainy co-pilot that never interrupts. And they didn't stop there. Need to securely deploy files to your server? BBEdit now supports FTPS, so you're covered even when your host demands encryption. And speed? Well, they reworked the internals, making big file editing and multi-file grep faster than ever. You'll feel it, seriously. Markdown fans, headings now fold by structure. Git users, better controls. Want to convert accented text to plain ASCII? There's a one-click tool for that too. Plus, ChatGPT worksheets are still there. Your favorite AI, now living inside of BBEdit. Don't get caught with anything less. Try BBEdit free for 30 days at barebones.com/store. And if you're upgrading, discounted pricing awaits. BBEdit. It still doesn't suck. And now it's so good, it might actually be cheating. Go check it out. And our thanks to BBEdit for sponsoring this episode. All right. Oh, hey, Adam's back. Are you actually?
Yes, I think I'm here.
All right. Sweet.
We'll see if it stays this time. I don't know. I just reset my audio interface and also rebooted my my FireWire interface or whatever. What do you call it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
And that thing's pretty hot right now, so I don't know if it's overheating or what.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I will then I will go back to what I wanted to do next on the agenda here, because I wanted to have you here for this conversation, if possible. Is Tom had a question about focus modes. He says, I use focus modes sparingly because I can't set them up specifically. For example, I want to block all calls and notifications for an hour starting at 8 p.m. on the first Wednesday of each month. None of my Apple equipment settings allow me to select only the first Wednesday. I also have similar issues with the calendar when creating recurring events. Sometimes I can select a specific day of the week and month, and sometimes I can't. So any thoughts on how he might set focus modes more granularly?
I don't actually know if I actually know. I'm one of these people that don't use a lot of focus modes.
Yep.
But you can tie them to calendar events though, right?
Yes, correct. Yep.
So could you trigger it that way? Although he was saying he still struggles with that even in calendar, right? So like,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Some kind of recurring calendar event.
I mean, I think the Mac is going to need to be involved with this.
Right.
Thankfully, the focus modes can sync amongst all the devices. So, and I think the Mac is going to need to be awake at the times that we want these triggers to run. In theory, calendar would be the way to do this because you can trigger the Apple script from the calendar. But Keyboard Maestro would also be a way to do this. And the nice part about Keyboard Maestro, although I guess you could accomplish this with AppleScript too, is you don't like. I was thinking of it in the calendar with two events, right? One that starts on the odd Wednesday at 8 p.m. and then another that starts on the odd Wednesday at 9 p.m. an hour later, right? But with Keyboard Maestro and maybe even with AppleScript, you could just say, okay, do this on Wednesday at 8 p.m., wait an hour, and then undo, and have it all as part of one sort of script, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah. I know there are third-party shortcuts, extensions, add-ons, things that people have found very creative ways to extend the functionality of shortcuts. So if you know of something that even would get us close or even might do something different with shortcuts, let us know at feedback@macgeekgab.com, because I know at least I'm missing out on some of these third-party shortcuts add-ons, and we like to know about stuff here. And you've probably told us, but it's been 20 years, folks. We've forgotten a lot of things, and also, our memories aren't what they used to be. So, thankfully, search functionality works. All right, shall we go to Judy, Adam? Pete, you want to read that for Adam?
I can do that. I will read Judy's question here. She writes in, says, "Hello all. I was a listener for a long time with you, Adam, and have listened to Mac Geek Gab for a long time as well. As I am now 74 years young, not old, not all the topics are of interest to me, nor am I able to be as geeky as I used to be, but I still enjoy the show immensely." Well, thank you. "I'm working on my family history and have large documents and books that I want to keep on a portable SSD. I created generic aliases for them and stored them on my M1 1 terabyte MacBook Pro. When I plug the SSD into my MacBook Pro, it says the alias copy can't be opened because the original item can't be found. Can I redirect all the generic aliases to the original on the SSD? Second question, in messages, I have my sister's texts between us. Will they remain there until I delete them? She passed away last December, and those texts are important to me. I want to keep them until I'm ready to delete them. Will they still be on my phone until then? Thank you for all you do. Have a great weekend, Judy." And let me say, Judy, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yep, me as well. Yeah. Me as well. On the alias thing, my first question would be, I'm curious how you created those aliases. I'm assuming they were just done in the Finder, sort of in the typical way. If you did it that way, I mean, they should work as long as your external drive is connected and mounted properly. So you could try doing a file get info on the alias to verify that the original path, that it's still pointing to the original file on the external drive. Because if, one, if it's not connected, it's not going to find it. But two, if you moved the original files on the external after creating the alias, that could break it. If you renamed the external volume, that could break the alias, or you rename the file. I mean, there's a lot of things that could actually break that. If you check all those things and it's still fine, I would say just try recreating the alias and see if that fixes things. So, remove the alias and just redo it. So those are all the things that I would try with related to the alias itself. I don't know if either of you have other tips for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, recreating it would be the way. I don't know. It's an external drive, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're pointing to an external drive.
You don't want to. Well, you could create a soft link from the terminal with ln-s. I don't know that. I would try recreating the alias first before making it more complex than necessary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Judy already said she's not.
I got that.
Geeky, so.
Yeah. Right. Well, and even for me, like, I'm comfortable with ln/s, but like, there's times when you don't want to have an important piece of your system with that as part of its infrastructure, if you will. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. And then on the messages thing, that should be pretty straightforward. I would just go into settings on your iPhone under apps messages and make sure the keep messages option under the message history is set to forever. That should allow you to keep them until you're ready to remove them. Another thing is, if you want to remove them and want to keep them, that I would recommend is iMazing. I put a link to the actual article on how to do this, but iMazing has a feature that allows you to export messages to your Mac from your device in text or PDF format. So you could archive those to either of those formats and then keep them forever off of iMessages or the cloud, once you're ready to remove them. That way you can have that archive, as long as you want.
Yeah. I have so many things to say about Apple's lack of attention to the fact that so many of us have tens of gigabytes of messages that we need to store on all of our devices right now in order to keep them, without using something like iMazing to archive them off. But it's ridiculous that maybe it's so that they sell larger and larger capacity iPhones to us over the years.
There you go.
Well, but I need to look at this on iCloud, but I think because of the California laws and the GDPR laws and stuff like that too, like I think most cloud services are supposed to have a way for you to be able to export all your data and take it with you. So I would imagine, actually, I haven't looked into this, but I would bet that iCloud has a way where you can offline all that stuff. I don't know what format it would be in, but I'm assuming you can go in and download that stuff from your iCloud.com account potentially.
Yeah. Huh. Now, here's something interesting, and I need to look this up on my Mac now, too, because I'm finding an inconsistency. On my iPhone, I only have 5.13 gigs of storage used for messages. And now I know that there are like 40 gigs of messages stored in iCloud. Yeah. On my Mac, I have 42.27 gigabytes of storage taken up by messages. So evidently, it is syncing all of my message history down to each of my Macs, something I would deem unnecessary. But my my iPhone is not doing that. And I sure wish I could tell my Mac not to do that too. That would be really, really nice.
Seems like that's, redundant storage.
You know, there is a setting in iCloud messages that I saw just yesterday. I was looking at this.
Yep.
Where you can turn off syncing for an individual Mac, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that you don't then get messages there, or does it just mean that they're not actually syncing?
Yeah. Good question. Yes, I don't. I could try that because I have more than one Mac, as I mentioned, and so I could turn it off on this one. This is a Mac that has a 512 gig internal SSD from which I boot. So being able to free up, 37 of those 42 gigs to get this down to 5 would be wonderful. It would save me,
It'd be better to have that take up 1% than 10% of your hard drive.
Exactly. Yes. Right. Yeah. Because I don't need, if I'm syncing my messages to iCloud, which I am, I don't need it on every one of my Macs. Candidly, I don't necessarily need it on any of my Macs if I'm to trust keeping it all on iCloud. I would probably choose to keep it synced to one of my Macs and not all of them if I had that granular choice. But why is the iPhone, there's no choice on either device. It's just, this is what we've downloaded. So, you're good to go.
Your choice has been made for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd also like to say, Judy, you're kicking butt. You're 74 years old. There are people in their 50s who can barely spell SSD, let alone create an alias when they plug it in. So don't sell yourself short. This is great.
Yeah. All right. Where are we going? Now I'm the one that's all over the place. Oh, we're going to JP. No, speaking of messages, yes.
Well, of course, I was busy. Give me just a second and I'll call it up. I was busy looking at the question and listening instead of getting ready. So
that's not a bad thing.
JP actually has a short question. So he writes in, gents, can't figure out why the search box in recently deleted messages window never allows me to search for anyone in the list I wish to recover. Any ideas from the Oracle?
Thanks, the Oracle has the day off, but I'll take a stab at this.
Right on.
He sent a picture, a screenshot of messages on his Mac, and he went into recently deleted, and there is a search bar at the top. Yeah. And you can click in that. I tried this on my Mac. You can click in that box. You can tap all over, whatever you want to do. The cursor never appears there. So I think he has found a user interface bug. I don't know what Apple's intention is with this, whether it should not be searchable or it should be, and for some reason that is just not exposed in the right way in the UX. So I would suggest, sending this to feedback or apple.com/feedback. I don't think feedback at apple.com works. But apple.com/feedback would be the place I would suggest sending this. So, yeah.
That's just grayed out, isn't it?
It's effectively, yes. Right. Yeah. It's grayed out in terms of functionality. Yeah.
Looks pretty.
Yep.
Totally useless. They're pretty general, but can they fight?
All right.
This one can't fight.
I feel like we need to move along before too many of Pete's military euphemisms start coming into play. And no better than JP to lead us down this next path here.
Hello, guys. I just wanted to chime in because I know you guys are both mobile users, well, Pete and Dave, that I know of. I have a new setting because I've just switched to Mint Mobile called Standalone 5G. Apparently it offers lower latency, better network efficiency, and improved upload speeds, and some advanced features which I don't really understand fully. And then, of course, it's a long-term feature, as it's noted. But what I do notice is that some cons to it is it's limited coverage. So being in somewhat rural Idaho, I don't know if this provides me the best use case scenario. It may be inconsistent at times. It may have some limitations due to SIM, which I don't think is a problem with the iPhone. One thing that's concerning to me is one of the cons that I was able to discover was battery drain. It's a little bit more power hungry than your LTE. And then, of course, you could have voice call issues. Anyway, I want to just see what your guys' thoughts were on this and chime in on this, as you guys, both Dave and Pete, as I mentioned before, both have Mint Mobile. Anyway, thanks. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to hearing your answer.
So this is interesting. Thank you, JP. Sorry, JT. There was a JP earlier. I didn't realize that this was even a thing, but he's absolutely right. If you go and it is carrier dependent, but if you go into settings, cellular, and then if you have two SIMs, pick your SIM and then go into cellular data options and go into the voice and data section where you would choose, between LTE, 5G auto, 5G on, there is a 5G standalone slider there. And then once you turn it on, voice over 5G standalone, at least for me, also comes up. And anecdotal reports indicate that this should help improve battery life. What it does is what's the right way to say this? In 5G standalone, what this means is that the phone and the network are no longer using LTE/4G as the core communications protocol, right? Even when your phone is connected to 5G, a lot of sort of the fundamental signaling is evidently happening over LTE, which makes sense, right? As things are migrating to 5G, you still need the phone to be able to talk to all of the towers and do its thing. And this turns that off and says, nope, if 5G is available, use 5G for everything. And it might save some battery life. What it really does is actually lets our devices start taking advantage of all of those 5G features that we started hearing about a couple of years ago. The lower latency of 5G, the network slicing and segmentation that can happen with 5G. And while this stuff doesn't really give us a real world, a feelable and noticeable impact on our phones, it is necessary for things that would be coming down the road, like connected auto, medical devices, right? Those kinds of things where that low latency is a baseline requirement in order for these things to work the way that we would need them to work in near real time and all that stuff. So I have turned this on my phone. And we got this email from JP, or I saw it from JP, 5 or 6 days ago. And so I haven't noticed an issue with battery life. I haven't noticed any issues at all. I've been mainly in my home area. Candidly, I've been mainly at home, which means I've been on Wi-Fi. But I have left the house and been on, not Wi-Fi, and haven't had any issues getting messages or calls, or in fact, things have just worked fine. So, yeah, it's interesting. There are some articles that we can link to here about why this matters. There's actually a good one at Verizon that I read, and so I'll put that in the show notes if you want to do some future reading or some self guided discovery on this. But yeah, it's interesting. 5G standalone. Didn't even know it was a thing. So,
my only question on that. So it does not impact the fallback when you're out of 5G. This is only something to improve when you're in 5G areas, correct?
Correct. Based on my, single digit day limited experience, yes, I have seen my phone on LTE and obviously it's worked. So yeah, it's not saying don't ever use LTE. It's saying when you're on 5G, use 5G from the full stack, from the top to the bottom, which I always thought that's what it was doing. Like I didn't know there was this interim step, and I would assume eventually this switch goes away because it becomes just the default for things, right? But not yet. So yeah. Interesting.
It was
stuff.
JT, just FYI.
It was JT. Yes. Yeah. I did correct myself, right?
Well, no, then you went back to it.
Then I said JT
I don't want you
again.
getting more emails.
Yeah. I can't help myself. Right before we answered JP's question about recently deleted messages. So
Juliet Tango, not Juliet Papa.
there it is. Yeah, we're gonna have to start using the NATO phonetic alphabet. That's right. Pete. Yeah.
All right, let me take us out of this with I think is our last question from Mike here.
Yep.
Mike says, "Gentlemen and the other guy, it's the season to address my network issue."
Hey, I heard that. I can hear you.
It is the season to address the network issue. 6 months ago, I upgraded from my Synology Mesh to the TP-Link Deco 3 unit. It wasn't much of an improvement. I've had a variety of Internet of Things devices, computers, a Synology disk station, phones, Apple TVs, iPads, and a partridge pear-shaped tree. Nice. I received a recommendation to try Eero, so I bought the 6E Pro 3 unit and set aside the Decos. Eeros are great and make managing the kids and media easier. Now the question, can I set up the Decos to manage the IoT devices while keeping the other items on Eeros? I don't need a VLAN on Eero, but I read that I can connect the main Deco to the main Eero and assign it different IP addresses or subnets. Is this possible? I'm considering this, but I value your advice before making a decision.
Yeah. The short answer is yes. You can do this. The question would be why, and even if we can answer why, is it the smartest thing to do? And because the issue is managing things so that the Wi-Fi radios from both the Eero and the Deco aren't interfering with each other and making your Wi-Fi worse in the process. So if you're going to do this, you would use something like Wi-Fi Explorer, which is part of SetApp, and a great little app to show you what channels are being used. Eero doesn't really give you an option to control channels, although I think if you reach out to Eero support, you can have them fix channels for your network if you need that from them. I think in the Deco, you do have a little more granular control over the channels. But another solution would be to just use the guest network on the Eero, and that way it's all using the same radios, but segmenting it at a different layer. I was going to say in software, which is sort of true. But again, I want to come back to why. If security is a concern, but as you said, you're opening things up to let your main network devices and the IoT network devices both see each other, then you're effectively bypassing that security anyway. Right. Because if you're allowing things to see each other, then what's the security? And so that's where anytime anybody asks me about setting up a separate IoT network, that's where I kind of stop. It's like, well, what's the benefit and what's going to be the headache? And certainly adding more Wi-Fi radios isn't necessarily always a good thing. In fact, often it's a bad thing. And then also, where and how are you segmenting the network so that you're actually getting some of that security that you're going for? So based on what I know, Mike, I would say I don't recommend it, but you could do it. I'm just not sure why it would be a net positive. Yeah.
Agreed.
All right.
Anything to add there?
You're here.
Yep. There you go. We have like, I don't know, 2 more minutes. I noticed some things coming, and I'm looking to see if I had moved this over. I don't know that I did. But there's some new features coming to the Apple Podcasts app, and I can't find my note about this. In podcasts in iOS 26. Here we are. Now I found it. Apple Podcasts will add an enhanced dialogue feature similar to what like Pocket Casts and Overcasts offer to amplify voices for clearer listening. It offers playback speeds from 0.5 to 3x, and like you can in other podcast apps, you can save your preferred speed per show. So if you like listening to Mac Geek Gab at 1.5, but like you listen to, say, Strong Songs and you want to hear music at its normal speed, you can set that one to 1, and you don't have just an app-wide setting anymore. The browse button is renamed to new to discover new and popular shows. Themable icons suggest that Apple's podcast might not be the purple app anymore, although it probably will be by default. And newer AirPods will support that studio quality audio recording, which we talked about in the last episode, that would potentially help us all as podcast listeners. So, yeah. So there you go. Cool. So those are the new features for Apple Podcasts that are in theory coming in the betas. So there you go. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. I have a quick audible here.
Go.
I think I said that I would. I did end up installing visionOS 26.
Yes.
And I set up my new persona. Unbelievable the quality difference of that persona
really? Cool.
versus the original. Like it is leaps and bounds in my opinion. I actually look like me. This week I got on this week I got on a Zoom call with a coworker. Didn't tell them, and they didn't say anything. And I asked them at the end, and they said, "Well, yeah, it was kind of a little weird, but." They didn't
just not a lot weird.
They didn't immediately notice that I was a virtual me, not a real me.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, and then the other thing is, widgets are awesome. It's just like
so they're as good as we saw. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had an issue with my clock widget where it went bad, and I had to re-put it back on the wall. But
sure.
It's beta. That's fine. But no, it's really cool. And what's really cool about it that I didn't think about is it sets up a sense of space since they're fixed in a space. So it's really neat now that when I put my Vision Pro on in my living room, that I've got a photo widget over there, and I've got my clock widget on the wall over there. Like it adds to the space virtually and creates this like fixed environment. Yeah. And I would imagine as you put things in different spaces, then it adds to that. I never thought how that would actually feel, but it was pretty cool.
That makes sense.
Cool experience.
Okay, yeah. So you're getting these become virtual environments, as you said, right?
Virtual parts of your real environments, which is really cool. It's like additive to your actual environment. It's a thing that you can only experience in the Vision Pro, but it actually adds to the experience, because it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Yeah. My photo widget's there, and I have it rotating with my favorite photos. So there's a new photo on the wall every time I put my Vision Pro on to do something in my living room,
Yeah.
And then, oh, what time is it? Well, now I can just look over at the wall and there's the clock.
And there it is, right? I'm curious, and I realize what I'm about to say would require you to be using your Vision Pro on the regular, but maybe these kinds of features will cause that. But once you are using it on the regular, and you used to, for example, seeing a clock on the wall over there, and now you don't have it on, how often are you looking at the wall to see what time it is, only to realize that there's no clock there?
I haven't done that yet. I haven't done that yet. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah,
absolutely. I also got an opportunity to, with listener Barry and George, we did a game called Demio, which is kind of like a miniatures Dungeons and Dragons style game. and then we also played some Apple game room games.
Yeah.
And that was super fun. I didn't get a chance to do that experience yet, and that is definitely an experience that's perfect for the Vision Pro, and it was a lot of fun. So that was a new experience. So I'm trying to use my Vision Pro a little bit more now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I like that. Okay. All right. I was going to say there's hope for this technology, but that implies that I thought that I didn't think there was before. There has always been, like, to me, this is a, public beta test of the not just the hardware, but the technology and the concept for Apple to just get this out there and learn and start doing things. And I know some people are using your Vision Pros on a daily basis, but it's not many of you.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. And the other thing, the new photo thing, I forget what they're calling the new photo thing that now works on the phone to make spatial style photos, but it's not a spatial photo. It's called something different. It's very deliberate because the Vision Pro, you can take a photo and make it a spatial photo. When you make it a spatial photo, the depth kind of comes more out from the frame, so it's more toward you.
Okay.
Yeah.
This other style of photo is more like 3D movies on the Vision Pro, or what you get, on your lock screen, where it kind of it goes in, the depth goes into the frame, so the background kind of goes further away, and foreground stuff is still on that flat plane of your vision.
You're reminding me of when I went to the theater to see Avatar, because that was the first 3D movie where it went things didn't come out of the screen so much as I looked into a virtual or a 3D environment.
It's like you're looking out the window at the movie or something.
Yeah.
It's more that. So it does both, and they are two very different things. I think I like the spatial photos a little bit better, but the fact is this other version will work on a 2D device because of how it does it, right? How it's doing the depth stuff. So
and we got to see that a little bit at the little 20th anniversary gathering that we had here at the house last night. RN Doug from Discord was here and had put iOS 26 on his phone and was showing us some of those pictures, and it was the best version of that kind of 3D thing that I've ever seen on a 2D phone, right? We've seen other apps that can do it, but ain't nothing doing it as well as Apple's baked-in tech. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Interesting. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, that brings us to where things wrap. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for the first 20-year block. Here's to the next one. Thanks to the Sonoflow folks, the One More folks with their Sonoflow headphones for partnering with us for this month's giveaway at macgeekgab.com/giveaway. So make sure you go join that. Thanks to CacheFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. If you didn't hear enough of Adam today because his audio cut out a couple times, make sure to listen to the Debut Film podcast, and you'll get all the Adam you like and more. Pilot Pete's So There I Was for aviation enthusiasts, and of course my business brain and Gig Gab. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Thanks for 20 years and counting. It's pretty cool, and
Zoe is quite the optimist. He says
it is
she looks
all
forward
of you.
to the next 20 years, 40 years, 60 years.
I mean,
maybe? I hope my knee holds out that long.
Yeah, exactly. But it's pretty cool that we get to do this with all of you. That's I can't emphasize that enough. So I'll just say thank you, and thanks. Do you have anything else to add? Are there 3 words? I don't know.
I would say, don't get caught.
That'll work.
Made on Mac.
Thank you.
See ya. Happy birthday.